Hola, hola, hello, buenos días, amigos, amigas. Good morning to you all, my dear friends from beautiful Cusco in Peru. My name is Vanessa Vasquez. I am your Peruvian tour guide, originally from Lima, but traveling for a beautiful whole month here in Cusco, getting to know this beautiful part of Peru so closely that, well, now I don't want to go back home. And also, well, in this process of also enjoying this part of Peru, and feeling it as a local, sharing it with you all with the only intention of making you fall in love more of Peru, more of Cusco, and probably also, I hope, I guess even at some point, seeing you here in person in this part of Peru. So, well, thank you so much for attending to this virtual tour. We will be continuing, of course, our series. Of course, I've been doing a series. If you don't know about this series, you haven't heard about it or seen my previous events, please visit either my YouTube channel or here on Facebook. You have also still there the recordings of my past live tours. I've taken you to different corners, to San Blas neighborhood, San Christopher neighborhood. We've seen the main square. We've seen also Santa Ana. So we've seen really lots. Well, hola Catherine, amiga, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? And thank you, Nathalie. Hola, querida. Thanks for being here today. Please use this chat for anything you wish to, like if you want to ask me questions or also just like talk, interact within each other. I'm really happy to see also you participating. So, well, now let's flip the camera. Let's go to the other side so you can see what I'm seeing. So again, we continue this tour where we finish last tour at the Plaza San Pedro. This is the plaza connected to the beautiful church of San Pedro, which you're seeing right in front of us. A church also that has a very important history, one of the oldest colonial churches of Cusco. And in its location, where nowadays it is, used to be located the first hospital for naturales. What is naturales? Well, it's an old word. We don't use it anymore, but it's an old word referring to indigenous people. No? So, well, back in the colonial times, there were multiple services like offered to, let's say, the indigenous people, the Spaniards who were here living, and even the mestizos. But people were able to receive services, but they were not mixed, okay? So there were hospitals for the indigenous, there were schools for the indigenous, and as well also hospitals for the white people and schools for the white people. Also all together but not mixed in the same city. So this was the location of the hospital of the indigenous. Sadly, well, earthquakes and the passing of time also destroyed many of the buildings in Cusco. Earthquakes like, for example, the one of 1650, you can also check out online about how terrible, how traumatic also that one was. And also 300 years after, almost exactly 300 years after, in 1950, there was also another earthquake, destructive earthquake also, that damaged deeply the architecture of Cusco. But surprisingly, the earthquake of 1950, for example, revealed the Incan foundations in lots of buildings in Cusco, because the Incan foundations survived. The buildings that were damaged were the Spanish buildings that were built on top of those constructions. So, well, in San Pedro Church, by the way, you can enjoy hearing every once in a while. Also, there are special, let's say, schedules for these events. Masses entirely pronounced in Quechua. And Cusco is so beautiful phonetically also, besides like visually, because you hear people speaking in so many different languages here. So you hear people speaking in Quechua in the streets, like, you know, like colloquially, and you hear also people speaking in Spanish and in multiple other languages. This is the church of San Pedro, St. Peter's Church. By the way, welcome to my friends who are joining also this live from Cusco. My name is Vanessa. If you have any questions, just let me know. So in my last event, you also are welcome, very much welcome to see the replay of my last event. We ended here at this point, so that's why we're starting here. So if you want to learn more about the history of the market, well, watch please the other video, but just some interesting facts. I was looking also for, well, the inspiration of the design of this market, and there are some historians and specialists who say that, well, the similarity with the style of buildings made in the times of Gustav Eiffel, the builder of the Eiffel Tower. We're talking about the end 19th century, beginnings of the 20th century. Well, it's not just a similarity. Well, this especially say that this building also was made by Eiffel, okay? But there are some debates about this. Not everybody agrees, but it's really interesting seeing this. So this is the Mercado San Pedro. It's a market that has all kinds of products from, of course, edible, like food. You can find a very delicious breakfast, juices, lunches. Also, there's a big, up front in the section, at the entrance almost, there is a big section dedicated to souvenirs on quite good prices also. And even there's a section there that is specialized in medicine, natural medicine. So you can find like herbs. Even people in the stalls can offer some advices in terms of, you know, what to drink, what to consume. So we continue our walking. By the way, the market San Pedro, I also mentioned this in last tour, the terrain, the section where the market is, belonged to the Clarissa's order. So St. Clare, a very close friend to St. Francis of Assisi, founder of the female order of the Franciscans, also was a very important character in the let's say in the period of the colonization of the Americas, especially, well, as a symbol of the ideal woman, let's say found by the Franciscans, a pious woman, a woman dedicated to God, that abandoned, of course, all the wealth, all the, let's say, all the things that this world can give to them in order to follow God. And, well, this idea, this new version of a, let's say, ideal life for women, sort of like made a very deep or profound, let's say, mark in the heart of the Peruvian women in general, mestizos, mixed blood, I mean, indigenous, and also the children of the Spaniards being born here in this territory. So, well, Claire is the most important ideal woman for the Franciscans. And here we have also the church. Let me just try to go a little bit backwards so you can start seeing a bit of the building that we have in front. This is the church of St. Clare. And let's go also to the front over here so you can see it. So this is still nowadays a nunnery. We have nuns here, and these nuns, I was doing my research about them last time. They are in seclusion. They are cloister nuns. So they live inside this residence by decision, of course, by their own decision, for the rest of their lives. Okay, so we still have some nunneries in Peru. This is not the only one. There are several other nunneries in Peru that are also still a home of women in this system, in this form, so old, no? Like we think on life in a cloister like being something from, I don't know, maybe the 11th century, maybe the 15th century, but not the 21st century, but it still happens here, okay? So we continue. You can see also lots of vendors here. This is a very busy part of Cusco. And I highly, highly suggest you to come if you love alpaca, for example, the best quality of alpaca, to come and dedicate one full day of your trip just to see stores, just to visit the markets, and basically just to try and taste what the city offers. Okay, so now we are at another important street, and I will do some detours during this event because I want to show you the stories that I found also during my investigation for this tour that really surprised me. And I mean, it's so beautiful learning about the stories of the names of the streets. So for example, the name of this street is Concebidayok or Concebidayok. Well, so Concebidayok Street is a fusion of two words. One is Spanish and the other one is Quechua. Okay, so the translation of the name of this street into English will be Conce or Concebir, which will be related with conceived. Okay, concebir in Spanish, conceived in English. And Vidayok will be related with a street of. Okay, so the street of the conception. Okay, and there's a very interesting story related with this street. Okay, it's a tradition basically. So the story takes us back to the 16th century, the late 16th century, when, according to the tradition, a couple of Portuguese men, women, moved to Cusco and moved into this location, into this street. They were very, very happy. They had everything they wanted, with the only exception of a child. They couldn't get pregnant. So the years passed, and according to the story, people started to mock on the woman because she couldn't have a baby. It was different times, of course. So this lady was very devoted and prayed constantly to God for that baby. So then the story continues with a rainy night when a errant mule had on its back a box, and this errant mule without owner started to walk down the street of the Portuguese, which originally was known as the street of the Portuguese, this one. So well, this mule walked here and stopped in front of this house, which was actually the house of this Portuguese family. Well, so the woman, the lady, her name was Maria, by the way, Mary, she opened the door and she found this donkey with a box in its back. So well, she opened the box because there was no other owner around, and she found inside the image of Virgin Mary of an Immaculate Conception, like beautiful. It was not wet, in the best condition. So she thought, of course, it was a miracle, and she put that image, that Virgin Mary, at the entrance of her house, there in that section, okay, on the top, right? The original image disappeared. I don't know exactly the reason, but there is a little image that you see here is a replica, a recreation of the Virgin, which is basically painted over the wall, which is the exact same one. And you know what happened? 9 months after she received the Virgin, this Immaculate Conception, she gave birth to a healthy baby. So that's the story of this street, the street of the Conception, Concebidayok, and many women still nowadays come here to pray for a baby in front of this beautiful representation of the Virgin. I'll try to go in front to show you the image of the Virgin Mary, the Virgen Inmaculada, very famous also. So let's go across because we have some traffic here so you can see her. By the way, thank you so much for being with me on this tour. And look at her. Can you see her? Just let me know, please, if you can see it. And there you have the Virgen Inmaculada Concepción. And this is, by the way, a parking nowadays. Okay, so let's continue and vamos. Let's see more of Cusco. There's so much more to see. And for a moment also, we are going to be next to the main square of Cusco. So I think that you will love so much this tour. I was planning to do something special because this is going to be my very last walking tour in Cusco. I've done in total, I was counting like 5 walking tours in Cusco. So, well, I wanted this one to be super special. Also, I will be taking you to other parts in the department of Cusco. Okay, so this is the last one in the historic center. But, so we're going up. You can feel it, right? So, but I will be taking you soon to other locations in Cusco. And also, we'll continue traveling. And maybe we're going to Titicaca Lake on this trip. So, your support means the world to me. And well, how you can support, there are many ways to do that, by following, by liking, commenting, and also, if you can, supporting on Facebook and becoming a Patreon. That could be wonderful. So well, I'm going to catch up my breath. Now we are seeing the gate of Santa Clara from the year 1836. A reminder, a memorial also of that very short time when Bolivia and Peru, after the colonial period, when Bolivia and Peru became one, only for roughly 3 years. So that was the Confederation Peruano-Boliviano, Peruvian-Bolivian Confederation. But sadly, it didn't last long. But I think we have Peru and Bolivia, we have so much in common. We are indeed brothers, sisters, I don't know how you might call us, but well, we are definitely siblings. So we continue seeing more of these beautiful alpaca products. I wouldn't call these pieces like 100% like baby alpaca, but they are wonderful. Like, they are warm, they look beautiful. They are more like synthetic style, but they are very affordable. So there's no excuse for anyone to come to Cusco and buy some alpaca or some beautiful jumpers that have these designs, these colors, because you can find them on prices that go from less than $20 US. Those are the, let's say, more affordable, to, I don't know, $300. So it really depends on your budget, sorry. So, well, there are lots of options here. And now let's continue and let's see this plaza. This is Plaza San Francisco. Oh, so San Francisco Plaza, St. Francis Plaza, is also another of the important main plazas of Cusco. So let me try to make a stop here so you can see both the plaza and the church. So how is the internet, by the way, my dear friends? Is it good? Is it working good? Let me know, please. I would love to know if you can hear me well and you can see everything good. So well, here we have the Plaza of San Francisco. Nowadays, by the way, it's a botanic garden. So you can see here lots of different plants indigenous to this elevation. By the way, Cusco is at about 3,400 meters above sea level, and the elevation is, disculpe, adelante, and the elevation in feet is 11,150 feet above sea level. So we are quite high, and not all the plants, or basically most of the plants that we have in this elevation, don't grow in the coast, and vice versa. The plants of the coast cannot grow this high. So well, we have a botanic garden here. The garden is from the 70s, so far I remember, the 1970s. But in where nowadays we have this beautiful plaza, we used to have a market also. And one of the person who also was able to see this market like alive, let's say, vibrant also, was the famous Hiram Bingham, the discoverer to the world of Machu Picchu. He even made some pictures of this site and showing also how alive this market was. Over there we see the Church of the Franciscans. I also mentioned lots of good information about this church, and also the School of Science, which is this one. I think the main school of Cusco is definitely this one, Colegio de Ciencias y Artes, in my previous life. Also, but something I didn't mention is that in this location, in this area, also used to be another hospital. Also, in the colonial times, there were multiple hospitals built by the Spaniards, of course, by the initiative of the Spaniards. And the name of the hospital here was San Lázaro, the Hospital of Lazarus. So this was a hospital specialized in certain diseases, contagious diseases that also spread quite fast in the colonial times. So to mitigate or to control those infectious, mainly skin diseases, was built this hospital, which is now gone completely. I also remember mentioning that there were hospitals for white people. For example, the Hospital San Juan de Dios was a hospital for white people, specialized in white people, and was located behind the Cathedral of Cusco. Okay, so look at these balconies around this plaza. Plaza San Francisco is also important because it took part in other interesting, let's say reforms that happened in Cusco. For example, the first bus lines that Cusco had back in the 70s, the ending point, start and ending point of those bus lines, the bus circuits, public bus circuits, was also here in this plaza, which is so close to the main square of Cusco. So we have also more curious streets. For example, this one here, this is the street known as Mesón de la Estrella. Mesón de la Estrella. Well, Estrella, a star. According to a tradition, there was a baker in the colonial times who had, well, at the entrance of his store, a street lamp that had the shape of a star. Okay, so that's why the name of this street is the Mesón de la Estrella. Mesón could be like a let's say store, could be of this star. Okay, and we have another very important building here. This is a university, a national university named Diego Quispe Tito. So who was Diego Quispe Tito? He was an artist, a painter from the colonial times. He was born at the beginnings of the 17th century. I think it was 1611. And well, he passed away in the 1680s, and his art is known as the best, the finest in Cusco in that period. That artistic period of the history of Cusco is known as the Escuela Cusqueña, the Cusqueño School of Art. And his art can be seen in different churches and convents in Cusco. For example, next month is going to be my event. I have an event that I will be doing based on a recorded tour I did to the convent of the Franciscans. And inside the convent of the Franciscans is a beautiful painting of the Last Judgment made by this artist. So he's sort of like fusion the manieristic style with the Baroque style, the use of this gold leaf also in his paintings, like made him an extraordinary artist. Also, well, this is a university dedicated to art, basically. Fine arts, I think you will call it, fine arts university. And there are like two faculties, one of art per se, pure art, and education in art, okay? So, well, they also have a restoration center, and they have two other, let's say, buildings in other parts of Cusco. So, well, what a beautiful story also of this man, Diego Quispetito, who embodies indeed, well, this fusion, this union of the Western art and also the indigenous tradition in the art. For example, one of the elements he added into his art pieces was like color, lots of color, like birds that were sort of like tropical birds with lots of colors in their wings, and also angels with beautiful wings with multiple colors. So, well, we continue. Gracias, Catherine. I just saw your message that everything is good. So image is great. Gracias, Natalie. Gracias, gracias. I'm so pleased that we are here together having fun. And let's continue seeing more of these buildings. Of course, the architecture in Cusco is delicate, and we need restoration. And I really hope that we will never have again one earthquake like the one of 1950. And still, we have some buildings that need restoration, even though that earthquake happened like a long time ago. But also, there are lots of interest in for example, foreigners to buy property here in Cusco to remodel it, even though it might be expensive. And well, of course it is, because this is a UNESCO World Heritage Zone since the year 1983. And in the 70s also, the historic center of Cusco became a place of let's say, important value for the nation. So it has been really a long process for Cusco to have the protection, the degree of protection necessary for such beautiful city and such historical city. But still, some buildings are fragile. Okay, so we need investment from the exterior. Definitely is necessary, because we alone cannot do it. And I think we need to just find a balance for everybody to be happy. Okay, and that, well, relays on the experts, of course. So we continue seeing more of these houses. Many of them are restaurants. This is a very, very busy touristic section. The name of this street is Marquez. Now you can see the name, Calle Marquez, Marquis. Will be the translation into English. And there were also some very important families, like let's say that inherit this title of marquises, who live in the house where nowadays is the University Diego Quispetito. Okay, so that's why the name of this street is Marquis. I want to show you something really interesting in the street, San Bernardo. Okay, and this street, by the way, is located right next to the convent of La Merced, the church and convent of La Merced, which is another religious order, one of the powerful religious orders that we had right after the conquest of this territory by the Spaniards. So the Spaniards came with a Dominican priest. Francisco Pizarro and his men came with a Dominican priest. And later on, after that, we had the Franciscans, the Mercedarians, the Augustinians, the Jesuits. Those are considered the 5 greatest, most powerful, most important religious orders of Peru, okay? And probably of the entire Latin American territory conquered by the Spaniards, okay? So right after the foundation or the refundation, the Spanish foundation of Cusco by the invaders, the religious orders came one after the other, very soon, very, very soon. Okay, and there is a interesting tradition in this street. You know already, this territory belongs to the Mercedarians. There is an interesting tradition related with one of these. I think I'm in the wrong side because I'm too high and I will not be able to jump down. But let's go until the end of the street. I want to show you something really creepy, really, really creepy. So the story, the tradition says that, well, here there were nuns and also seminarists or priests also from the order of the Mercedarians. Well, that's the tradition, no? And it seems that there were secret loves between them. Okay, okay? Loves that, of course, were not allowed because, of course, priests and nuns couldn't be together in that way, okay? Let's go across. I want to show you this. So, every time a woman, a nun, got pregnant, well, the babies were abandoned to die, okay? Because they couldn't have the baby, of course, right? So, in this wall, and since that this used to be part of the cemetery, in this wall, there is a very interesting figure that locals say is the face of a child that appear on the wall. Okay, so this is like the face of a ghost of a child that didn't want it to be buried, wanted to see the light instead. Okay, so do you see it? Okay, so this is the face of one of these ghostly spirits. Also, there's another legend that says that, well, there was a witch here in Cusco who was walled alive, and her face also somehow, well, transpassed the walls, and well, you can see her there. So there are very interesting stories about some of the streets of Cusco. I hope you were able to see that one. And according to the tradition, this face has tried, well, the owners of the church have tried to cover the face, and they couldn't. It always reappears. Okay, so let's continue. How's the walking doing? Well, we are now going up again just for a little while, and I'll show you now the front of this convent, or the front of the Mercedarians church. So, the climate is perfect. It's not sunny that will burn you. It's just warm and good. I would say that the temperature is around 60, maybe 5 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe 21, 22 Celsius. So it's a good day. Okay, now we are in another plaza, and this is the Plaza of La Merced, of course, but also is known as Plazoleta Espinar. It's right in front of the Church of La Merced, which also is the last resting place of conquistadors. Diego de Almagro, for example, one of the closest men to Pizarro, also one of his associates in the Society of Conquest, who later became his enemy and was killed by orders of his former friend, Francisco Pizarro, here in Cusco. Diego de Almagro was killed here in Cusco. His body was put to rest here in the Church of the Mercedarians. Also, his son, Diego de Almagro, El Mozo, the young, was buried here. And one of the brothers of Pizarro, Francisco Pizarro, conquistador as well, buried here. The highlight of this church, which as most of churches is now museum, one of the artistic highlights besides the beautiful art, painting, etc., is the monstrance that is inside it. It's a monstrance that weighs 22 kilograms and is like all coated, besides that is gold, it's coated with gems, with rubies, with sapphires, with pearls, and also diamonds. So, well, that's the type of art you can find in churches. And over here we can see the Plazoleta Espinar, if you want to also know how it's written. Okay, so there you have Plazoleta Espinar, and this name, because Plazoleta means little plaza, okay, the name refers to also a military man from Cusco, born in Cusco, predicate son or child of Cusco is what the plaque says, who died during the War of the Pacific when the Chileans invaded Peruvian territory. That was a really terrible time in our history. It started that war in the year 1879, ended in 1884, and well, during this time, this terrible confrontation, many predilect children of Peru went to defend the territory, and one of them was this man. Actually, there is a province inside the department of Cusco that is named Espinar, thanks to, well, this in honor basically of this man, of this valiant man. Okay, so let's continue. Also, vamos. Okay, we have more to see, more museums. By the way, La Merced is a minor basilica, Basilica Menor, which is among all churches, you know, like one of the highest status you can give to a church. Basilica Mayor, main basilica, so far I know are cathedrals. I'm not a very good Christian, but I know at least this. And Basilica Menor is sort of like in category comes just below a cathedral, okay? So Basilica Menor of La Merced. Oh, my hat is flying now. We have a lot of wind. Oh, let me just put on my hat again. Haha. So my friends from Cusco say, and I do agree with them completely, that in one day you can have in Cusco 4 seasons. Oh, so Cusco is a city that you never get bored in this city. So this is the entrance to the museum. Okay, we will not get inside, of course, but just in case, if you wanna give a quick visit when you are coming to Cusco, 20 soles is the admission fee. Okay, and Sundays I think they don't open. It says from Monday to Saturday. Okay, let's continue now, and we are just 1 block away from the main square of Cusco, which is known as Plaza de Armas. By the way, I think from here you will have a very good idea of what I want to explain. So I remember in the time in the tour we had to the main square of Cusco several weeks ago, I told you that the main square of Cusco, which is this section, this is part of the main square, right? One of the ends of the main square, used to be annexed in the Incan times to another square that was pretty much double, like, or exactly the same size of that square. Okay, representing also, well, the duality in the pre-Hispanic world. And right in the center of that square, there was a river, Sapi River, that ran. Now the Sapi River is underground, is under this section. So all of this part is an addition of the conquest of the Spaniards or post-conquest period, right? So all of this part over here. And the Plazoleta Espinar, which is over there, the little plaza, is part of another plaza. If I go backwards, you can see it much better. Oh, so the Cusipata Plaza, which is over there. Okay, so this is a little plaza. There's another little plaza over there. And there is the main square or Plaza de Armas over there. So all of this section, including this building here, didn't exist. It was all flat. It is amazing how big the original Incan Plaza of the city of Cusco was. Okay, but the Spaniards think they didn't need it such a big plaza, so that's why they reduced it to half. Very good. So we continue, and I hope my explanation was clear. And this is the main street of the historic center of Cusco, right here. You're going to see it in a moment. This is the Avenida El Sol Avenue, okay? The sun, Inti, also one of the deities worshipped by the Incas, El Sol Avenue. The Justice Palace of Cusco is just 1 block away. It's actually the building you see over there. And well, this avenue is also one of the widest we have in the historic center of Cusco. Of course, like to make it this wide, a lot of buildings had to be sacrificed. And also I know that in this section, very close to nowadays the Justice Palace of Cusco, there used to be a very important theater destroyed pretty much completely by the earthquake of 1950, a city hall theater, municipal theater. Okay, so what we continue now. In a moment we're going to get into the area around the Plaza de Armas of Cusco, the main square of Cusco. And you can see these portales. Portales are sort of like these sections where we can walk under, but on top still is the building, right? So those are the portales. There are 8 portales, 8 portales in the area around the main square of Cusco. For example, this one we are about to see is the portal of the Society of Jesus, el portal de la Compañía de Jesús, because at the end of this passageway that is roofed, we have the Church of the Jesuits. So we can see from here now, once again, the main square of Cusco, busy as always, lively as always, colorful. And also this reminds me my very first tour in Cusco, being so excited, and it's starting at this point up high. So this section I'm pointing out is the Church of St. Christopher, okay, and has a beautiful plaza there, very big. So I started my first tour there, so it's a very emotional moment for me. And here we can see also other important buildings, like for example the Cathedral of Cusco. The day I took you to the main square, or we ended at the main square, it was, so far I remember, like close to the I think was the January the 1st, right? And the plaza didn't look like this because there was a big stage for a, like a New Year's Eve festival that we had, a party we had at the entrance of the cathedral. So we couldn't see the front of the cathedral as good as we are seeing it today. So remember that the churches especially were built over Incan palaces. I remember this one was the Palace of Viracocha Inca, and also behind us, behind me, we had the Palace of Huayna Capac, or the Coricancha. So we have, well, nice view of the whole plaza. Look at, like all the beautiful buildings and the trees and the hills around. And we can see here, and I try to point out as much as I can with the cell phone, the facade of the temple of the Society of Jesus, which is huge, as it was the power of the Jesuits in Peru until they were expelled from the Spanish territories because of accusations of sedition and promoting the independence among indigenous noble people or educated people. So we will never know if it really happened, but there was a coincidence in terms of, let's say, like some of the revolts before the independence, the precursors of the independence, were moved by people who studied at Jesuit schools so well. And in the distance, I don't want to really get inside, sadly, because the walls are pure stone, pure rock. There's no internet in this section. If I get any deeper, probably I will lose the internet, and I don't want that. But I think you can see a little, like, sort of like glimpse of light into this altar that is huge and is all covered in gold leaf. Okay, so this is the richest altar, colonial altar we have in Peru, and it belonged to the Jesuits. It's over 20 meters tall, so it's really incredible. It's huge, this altar. So let's continue also. By the way, if you are wondering if there is any Starbucks coffee in Cusco, there used to be, no longer. A few days ago, I came here with my daughters to visit the Starbucks, but it seems being closed now. Also, I don't know for how long, but well, this is the location of the Starbucks, or it was the location of the Starbucks. Okay, so we have another, let's say, a section of the main square, these portales. As I said before, there were 8 portales Oh, for example, this one was the portales of the petates, which was a type of material made from reed also that was very useful in the colonial times. Well, that is the portal of Belén over there. And we have here the cathedral, and there are different other portales. We have the portal of bread, the portal of meats, the portal of flour, and so on. So there are in total 8, okay? And if you are here in Cusco, meeting with a local, probably this person will tell you that, oh, let's meet at the Portal of Belén, for example. So just to, tell you that the Portal of Belén is the one right in front, that little one over there, okay? So now, let's continue, and we are also about to discover another group of religious buildings, Catholic buildings, built on top of Incan palaces and temples. And we are now in the access or the street that goes to the convent of St. Catalin. St. Catalin of Siena is a famous saint from the Dominican order that actually, like us in case of let's say St. Clare, do you remember St. Clare also from the Franciscans? So the Dominicans have their symbol, let's say their symbol of femininity, the symbol of the ideal woman. Okay, so in Peru, we have 2 convents dedicated to St. Catalin that are quite famous, and they also have nuns in cloister. One is in Arequipa, and the other one here in Cusco. But I want to just make a stop before I keep telling you more about the convent of St. Catalin, to show you this interesting element that is coming out from the wall. Actually, that is taking a big part of the street, of the walkway. Okay, so this is part of an Incan wall. Okay, there are photographies also from the colonial times that show that this street, which is named also San Catalin the Narrow, Santa Catalina Angosta, because it's a narrow street still, but it used to be narrower. Okay, and the street was just the width of probably one narrow car. Okay, and this section was widened, as you can see over here, right? But this wall, because it's Incan, look at that, it's Incan wall, it really is part of this construction even inside, was not destroyed, okay? So also I remember reading a story, a sad story of many years ago. It was in the 60s also. There was public transportation coming across this section, and like in Latin America, buses usually go packed of people. There were no stones down there, so it was just the wall here. And there was a terrible accident. So one boy was like, he offered his seat to a lady, and he had to stand, and somehow he ended up at the door of the bus. Okay, and the bus sadly it came too close to the wall, and this guy had a really bad accident. So he died consequence of the injuries of hitting the Incan wall. Okay, even the wall was fragmented in parts of this section over there. So that's why we have rocks here, and I know that there are no public buses coming anymore into this section. So a tragedy that also is located with the complicated design of the city, the complicated shape of Cusco, which is not square, is not like a checkerboard, or a grid pattern as you call it. Is a naturally formed, like naturally shaped, organic shaped city that had the appearance of a puma from the air. Well, we continue with Santa Catalina Angosta Street, the street of St. Catholic, but the narrow one. Angosta is narrow, and we see right in front of us the entrance into the monastery or convent of St. Catalin of Siena. So, if you want to learn more about this convent, I have also another event planified for next month about this place, about this museum. I hope you don't miss it. You will love it. And well, there we have the entrance to the museum. I was able to record the inside. Well, do a virtual, let's say, a full tour recording, and I will be explaining also about this place from home with also additional images and more. But if we go here, I think you can also see a bit better the design of the entrance of this building, and how big. Oh, I'm going to take a seat. How big is the entrance to this convent? So something really interesting, sort of like a continuation of the purpose of this building, from, let's say, Incan times into colonial times, because we know this was the temple of the Akyas, the Akyawasi. So what was an Akya? This is a Quechua word. An Akya is a chosen girl, a princess, a special woman. And the Akyawasis were sort of like places where selected women, chosen women, lived for the rest of their lives. Some of them were taken out of the Ayahuasis to be married with authorities. This is during the Incan times, by the way. No? Or even some of them were taken from the Ayahuasi to conducted into, well, ceremonies where they would be sacrificed. There are evidences of that, for example, those sacrifices in the mountains in not just Peru, in Argentina, in Chile. So, well, these princesses, these chosen women, were trained, educated in this location. So nowadays it's a convent, and as I said before, we still have women living behind these walls. These stone walls. So let's continue. Oh, this is a very nice fountain. We can see also this fountain with pumas. I was trying to find out like the significance or meaning, but no, I was not able to find it. Not for now. I'll keep searching on that. But you know, Cusco was the Puma city, so pumas are connected also not just with the city, or with the cosmovision of the Andes and the Indian societies, pre-Hispanic societies in this part of the world. They were associated with the world where we live. No? There was an upper world, underworld, and this world where we live, and the pumas associated with this world. We have also representation of indigenous or native women from Cusco, also men over here, men and women. And well, now we continue down, because we have 2 more buildings to see. So are you having fun? Are you enjoying? I hope this is not a too long event, but as I said in the beginning, I wanted to make it extra special. If it rains in Cusco, no worries. There are no places flooded in Cusco. We have excellent aqueducts, drainage systems also, that sometimes you see and sometimes you don't see, because they run under the city, that were created by the Incas. This stone, by the way, this stonework is not Spanish. I think you can notice clearly, well, the Incan perfection. It looks so perfect, right? In comparison to the colonial use of a stone, okay, which is over there not as perfect. And also notice that the walls of the Incan constructions are leaning in, and the Spanish walls are straight. Okay, so there's a big difference also in terms of the way how the walls were made. And we know nowadays that these inclined walls in are seismic resistant. Well, so now we're going to end in a street named Maruri, also another of the main streets of Cusco, and also related to the last name of a important family name of an important family who lived in this street. Okay, Gracias, Natalie. Gracias. Please stay with me because we still have two more buildings to see. And the last one is really the grand finale. And I know that many of my friends will be seeing this event as a replay. So thank you so much also to my friends who come to these videos and see them and enjoy them later. Because, well, I mean, my morning times are a little bit loose, but probably yours are not exactly. So I know sometimes it's better for you at nighttime to watch the replays. So let's continue over here. And we have another building, Incan construction, Coricancha. So Cusi means happy or merry. Okay, for example, there is a plaza named Cusipata, okay, which is the other one, or the other section, or the other half of the main square of Cusco, which nowadays is more separated because there is a big block of buildings between let's say the main square and that now smaller square. So that is the square of the happiness. Cusi is happiness. Pata is flat place. Okay, so Coricancha, according to the legends, according to the tradition, and by the way, we're going across, so I'm trying to find the best moment to do that. So over here, this is the site. Coricancha is the place of happiness, not a plaza. It's a building of happiness. It's a site of happiness. And the tradition says that Inca Pachacutec was born here and also lived in this building. So let's go across. Okay, excellent timing. Okay, so here we are. And well, here you can see also without the presence of a Spanish building on top. There used to be one colonial building, but it was destroyed by an earthquake, the earthquake of 1950, and it was just all of it removed. So we have more Incan than Spanish here. We see also rooms, like sort of like at least the foundation of the walls of certain rooms, the entrances, pillars, and so on, that originally belong to this construction. ¿Qué tal? Adelante. So let's continue over here. So look how, for example, the Spanish section or the latest, addition is over there, and we have, for example, the Incan, let's say, frames, or could be doors. And by the way, we are much higher in elevation than the original level of the city back in the Incan times. So we might be about half a meter in some sections, even 1 full meter in some other sections. So this used to be the entrance, but it was much deeper in, okay, in the floor. And more of these Incan buildings. Okay, so let's continue. And now we are walking straight to my favorite building in Cusco, because it shows, I think, like exactly half and half of Spanish and Incan. And sadly, in the rest of the buildings that we've seen in Cusco, we know the Spanish foundation, we know the Incan wall, we know what's one or the other, but we usually see more in percentage of the Spanish than Inca. Also, we continue with the Coricancha building, which is quite long, quite big. It opens also as a museum, so just keep that in mind. And well, as I said before, we are going to my favorite building, which is the Coricancha. Okay, Coricancha, that was the name of the site during the Incan times, but now also people know it as the Church of Saint Dominic. So the narrow streets, also the Incan streets, are taking us back in time to that era where Cusco was a secret city that not everybody could come to walk some of these streets. Only the Incas, the chosen ones, and their noble families were allowed to walk here. So it must have been impressive seeing some of the buildings, as the chronicles say, covered in gold. And chroniclers, like for example Inca Garcilaso de la Vega, mentioned that the Coricancha, according to the stories told to him by his relatives, who were also noble people. Inca Garcilaso de la Vega was half Spanish, half indigenous. His mother, Chimpu Oggio, was a direct descendant of Incan kings. And, well, this building that you see here is the Church of Saint Dominic. So the entrance into the Coricancha Museum is there, right in front of us, where you see that group of people coming out. So that is the entrance to Coricancha. I have another upcoming event dedicated to Coricancha from within. So I hope you come, you join. That's going to be next month. And there we have the entrance to the church. This was the entrance to the church. But we will recognize the Incan parts in a moment. Okay, so stay tuned with me, because you're going to see it and you will love it. Okay, so Cusco has so many museums. Most of the museums you will see in Cusco are religious. People in Cusco, as well as in most of Peru, are very, very religious, very much in tune with their religiosity. There's no conflict or resentment in terms of the way how people live their faith. Actually, we have a fusion of the Western religion, they say the Catholic religion, and also elements from the Incan tradition coexisting beautifully. So here we are. I think that I will walk a little bit more just to give you a full view of this site. And well, I'm going down, that's a good thing. Okay, and I think from here you're going to have a very nice view of the site. In 3, 2, and 1. Look at that. Look at that beautiful building over there. So let's explain a bit more about the site. You already know this is the Coricancha, or the Temple of the Sun. And chronicles like the one I already mentioned of Inca Garcilaso de la Vega, actually descendant of Huáscar, one of the Incan kings of our history, mentioned that this temple was not just covered in gold, also there's a tradition that says that there were animals made like in real size, real high, like llamas, for example, in gold. Also recreations of these animals and even people display in different parts of this plaza that is right next to the Temple of the Sun. Coricancha, Cori referring to gold, also referring to, well, the sun, the resplendent sun. And cancha means a place, a site for worshiping. So you can see also that some people are allowed to come into this plaza. This is a part of the benefits of acquiring an admission ticket into the museum. And going back also to, well, what was here, what existed inside this place, and why it was so important for the Spaniards to build right on top of this temple, because notice that this part is the section that is Inca. Look at even the different type of a stone, also on the perfection in the union of the stones, which are huge, very heavy. And then we have another part, which is the addition, the section that belongs to the colonial times, or the part of the church of the Dominicans. So according to the tradition, also inside the Coricancha there was a deity worship that was known as the Punchao, which was a golden figure of the shape, the height, and the shape of a child. And inside that god, that golden god, there were the ashes of the hearts of all the Incan kings of the empire of the Tawantinsuyo, or the empire of the Incas. So it was such an important deity, and sadly, well, the King of Spain knew about this idol, which existed actually when the Spanish came. The Spaniards saw it, and he demanded it to be sent to Spain. And well, we just know that it was delivered to Spain by ship, but we don't know what happened with it. We don't know if the ship arrived or not. So it was gone forever. This Punchao, this god, which was actually placed in this part inside, like behind the wall. There is a section, like a niche, where this god was placed, and actually its position was not looking to here, was looking to over there. And it was related also with the position of the sun, how the sun also like touch it in the morning. The Punchao is the sun of the morning, the dawn. Okay, so when the Spaniards came, they knew that sites like this one should be eradicated, like at least of any like worshiping, and that's why they built churches on them. Because if people will continue worshiping the site in secret, well, I mean, the first generation will continue to do it, but maybe the next generation will continue with the tradition of worshiping, but they would not know what they were worshiping. So instead of worshiping the Punchao, they would worship God, which was inside the temple, in this case, of the Church of the Dominicans. Also, last note about this location is the fact that on a very important celebration that we have in this territory, in Cusco, the Inti Raymi, which happens in the middle of the year during the winter solstice also, which is in fact considered the starting of the year in the Andes, the starting of the new year. Part of the celebration of the Inti Raymi takes place here. So there's a part that takes place here. Like actually, the beginning of the celebration is here. Later on, the actors representing the Incas and well, all of the participants of the ceremony move to the Plaza de Armas of Cusco, and after that they go to Sacsayhuaman, well, which is the grand finale. Okay, so well, my dear friends, thank you for being with me today. It was a pleasure, not just showing you Cusco today, showing you Cusco every single day of my time here. Sorry, I'm moving the camera in the wrong direction. Showing you Cusco, well, not just as a Peruvian, not just as a tour guide, but also showing you Cusco as a passionate for pre-Hispanic history and colonial history, and someone who understands us as Peruvians, I mean, as well, the product of this forced marriage between two worlds, of the Western, the Spaniards, the Spanish tradition with all their complexities and all their traumas and all their assets, and also the Incan tradition with, well, the same. Okay, with the complexity of being humans. Okay, so well, thank you so much for being with me. Thanks for your support these days. If you wish also to support this channel, you can give a like. You can, if you wish, also donate. We have the stars also here on Facebook, which surprised me. Also, Facebook gave me the chance of receiving stars. So well, seems that I might be doing something good. All right, and also we have, well, the donations via PayPal and the subscriptions on Patreon, which really will help me a lot. And also, once these videos will not be allowed or will not be seen in Facebook, all the recordings are going to Patreon, so you can see them several times, as many times as you wish. Muchas gracias. Thanks for the thanks messages. Gracias, Catherine. Gracias, Natalie. Really, you are my super friends, and I value so much your presence. And also to all my friends who were not in person for this live tour, but will be seeing this video later. So, gracias to you all, and see you soon from another location in Cusco. Gracias, amigos. Gracias, amigas. Ciao, ciao. Until the next time. Bye-bye. Gracias.